behalf of the Board of Education and the Mount Sinai School District, it's my honor and privilege to recognize some great athletic accomplishments here tonight. First and foremost, the best overall season we've had in the history of the school, let alone Long Island and Suffolk County. The New York State High School Athletic Association recognized the following winter athletic teams for achieving academic excellence while actively participating in varsity level interscholastic athletics during the 18-19 winter season. We had 5 teams: varsity girls winter track, varsity boys winter track, varsity girls basketball, varsity boys basketball, and varsity cheerleading. It was a great honor. The first team I'd like to bring up with all their white jackets on, and I'd also like to thank all their parents that took the trek down to the Nationals in Florida as well as Rochester. The support was outstanding. And I'd like to congratulate first of all on being the 2019 Large Division II Suffolk County champions, the 2019 Garden State champions, the 2019 Long Island champions, the New York State champions for the second time out of 3 years, and finally, and probably the most important, was the 2019 National Championship. Christina Latito's not here, but I'd like to invite Megan McWayne up, and congratulate her on an outstanding job and to help her get out of the Can you hear me? No. I'll just yell. The first person up is, so read them all up, Alexa Fusco. Girls, after you get your award, if you could just stay up front, we'll take one big picture as well. Ariana Furbush. Alana Fragaletti. Janet Conforti. Carly Meyer. Reese Cohen. Sophia Castelletti. Brooke Gaspi. Kaylee Kunzler. Sydney Kearns. Emily Candell. Julian Yu. Lisa Greenspan. Melissa Van Beck. Tanya Temple. Isabella Spiro. Sarah Marie Spadaro. Savannah Rose. Tori Napolitano. Delilah Mile. And All Division, Gracie Munich. All Division, Alexa Burns. All County, Victoria Legaspi. All County, Italia Fragaletti. Tackles. UCA national champions, state champions, and so on. Great job, girls. Very proud of you. Why don't you guys so many take a knee in the front, like just go down.
Come on, girls, you know how to do it. How many times?
Deb, you got that picture for all of us?
I'm getting it. Hold on. Yeah.
All right, the next team I'd like to honor is our Mount Sinai wrestling team. Since the inception of the New York State Championship, we're the only school in New York State to win it back-to-back.
I'd like to also introduce, if he can come up, I think Mr. Armstrong is the head coach, and Mr. Ralph Menachino, he's not here tonight. Eric Strovic helped out, Kurt Wagner, and Jim Walker, but if Matt can come up. All right, before I get to the boys, I'd just like to highlight a couple of accomplishments. First of all, they were Suffolk Division II county champions. They were League 7 champions. They were Division II dual meet champions and Suffolk County tournament champions. When I call out your name, please come up. This is a great bunch, and if you know wrestling, they sacrifice day in and day out regarding making weight and doing everything they need to do in the classroom. Just a special group of young men, and we're really proud of you guys. If you had the chance to go up to Syracuse the last 2 years, it was probably the most exciting thing I've ever been a part of in terms of a competition where it's a team championship and it's not about individuals. And they all came through and did a great job. So, without further ado. Adam Shada. Vincent Valente. Gianluca Ferrara. Daniel Stoma, Michael Ruggieri, David Mustella, Derek Menachino, Matthew Galley, Ryan Jones, Nicholas Carrillo, Matthew Mikata, Brent Spolina, Ryan Zena Pellegrini, Sean Wells, Jack Tyrell, Jake Spolina, Stephen Boscarino, Kevin Goodrich, Brendan Goodrich, Luca Martinez, Joe Sabella, Braden Farback. Erla Kay. Evie Leander. Ryan Shanian. John Heyman. Chris Goodrich. Joe Goodrich. And I'd like to introduce these individuals that won specific awards. First, Mike O'Brien. Michael was the 132-pound county champion and recorded his 100th win this year. Joe O'Brien. Joe was the 138-pound county champion, and he also got his 100th victory this year. And I guess Mike and Matt aren't here, but Michael Sabella was the 195-pound county champion, and Matt Campo was the 152-pound county champion. He recorded, he finished 5th in New York State. He recorded his 151st win this season, the most in Mount Sinai history, and that also was a record from 23 years ago. Congratulations.
Dad, you want us together? Tighter.
Thanks, guys. This next individual is from a team sport also, but an individual sport. And I'd like to first bring up, he's not here tonight, is Coach Eric Giolando, who is also Coach of the Year, and his assistant coach, Lee Markowitz. But this next individual, Kenny Way. Just to tell you a little about Kenny. Kenny, just guys want to show you something, because I put the tape on. This is pretty outstanding. Kenny jumped the longest in the nation this year. Kenny jumped 25 feet, which if you think 25 feet, I came here earlier because 25 feet is from this piece of tape right here to this piece of tape right here. Come on. So, like I said, when I say to people it's 25 feet, he is ranked. I'll just read some things that I highlighted. Kenny was the outstanding MVP of Suffolk County in boys winter track. He was a county champion. He was second place finish in both the states and the federation in the 55 hurdles. He was first place finish in both the states and federation in the long jump. Third place finish in the 60-meter hurdles. He was All-American state and the county record. Fifth place finish at the Nationals in the long jump, All-American in 2 events. He's ranked #1 in the United States, and believe it or not, he's going to MIT. And, Kenny's just one of those most humble individuals, and I can honestly say, I cannot be more proud of you, but when I say it, I wanted to show you, because it's from here to the other side of the stage, it's 25 feet. Congratulations. Next group of young ladies, just like Kenny, participate on the track team, and I've been calling their names out for the last couple of years, and it's going to continue with what age they are and what grade they're at. But first, I'd like to introduce Brandon Lewis, the assistant coach, who's done a great job, and Coach of the Year this year again, Mr. Bill Dwyer. Thank you. All right, our first person to be honored is Sarah Conlon. Just some of Sarah's honors. We had, for the first time, we had not only Kenny, but we had Sarah, who was named MVP on the girls' side of winter track in the entire county. Sarah also placed 8 at the Nationals in the 2-mile race. She placed third in the States, 3rd in the Federation in the 3,000 meters. She placed 4th in New York State and 6th in the Federation in the 1,500 meters. Suffolk County champion in both events, 1,500 and 3,000. Sarah, like I said, was named MVP. And Sarah just breaks records year after year, season after season, and she's just a phenomenal human being. Congratulations. Next is Kaylee Robinson. Kaylee placed 11th in the New York State Championships, 13th in the Federation, and 3rd in the counties for the 600 meters. And she'll be attending SUNY Oldham. Caitlin, again, season after season, is always up in the front, breaking records. She placed 11th in New York State, 14th in the Federation, in the 1,000-meter race, and Suffolk County champion in the 1,000 as well. Caitlin. And Heather Caputo. Heather completed the distance medley team, with Caitlin, Heather, Kaylee, and Sarah, and they placed 10th at the Nationals as well. Thank you. You guys want to just do the picture real quick?
Yeah,
As they're taking pictures, I know it's a long night with the budget meeting and whatnot. I just want to say thank you to the board for their support. Thank you to all the coaches for their hard work. These student athletes, if I didn't say, the wrestling or the cheers, they're just great, great individuals, and the support of the parents. Thank you very much.
The next part of the program moves on to the new website and the superintendent's report. So if our students and families really feel the urge to stay, welcome to stay. But if you'd like, this would be an appropriate Tara Davidson. Ken is in the back manning the cameras. So we're going to excuse ourselves now to the
to show you some of the main parts of the website.
You might grab that mic, Tara, it's hard to hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Get ready.
Okay, so the district website is actually made up of 4 main sites. We have our district homepage, and then we have our 3 building homepages, our elementary school, middle school, and high school page. These websites were built in a responsive design, so if you are on a smartphone or on a tablet, the content will shrink down in size so that it looks better on your phone or on your tablet. So any of you that have visited our website recently on your phone, you may have noticed that already. Another thing about our district pages is that we've kind of set everything up within a common theme. So you'll notice up at the top, we have the same menu up at the top, no matter which building you're on. We always have the home page or the home button that'll bring you back to the particular building page that you're on. Our district, which has specific information regarding our district. Our Board of Education menu up at the top. The Parents menu. And depending on which page you're on, the information in that Parents menu is going to change. So I'm on the elementary school page, so I have specific information. For example, the Principal's page is going to bring us to Mr. Catman's page. The Students menu, again, is specific for the building site that you're on. And then same thing for staff. And Our Schools is a way for you to navigate from one site to another. You can also navigate to our different building sites by going up to the top left here as well and choosing the building that you want to go to. Another thing that you'll notice as you go along through our website, in addition to having the same menu up at the top, is the content on the home page is going to be similar. For example, on our district page, we have the district information section, which is going to bring us give us the top 3 posts or notifications that have been put out by the district office. If we click on the More link down at the bottom here, it'll bring us to the actual district information page, where you will see a running list of anything that has been posted this year. We'll have the same type of content whether you're on the elementary, middle, or high school page. Instead of district information, it'll be our school information. So here we have specific information for the middle school. And again, if we click the More link, that'll bring us to more posts that were put out through the middle school. Again, on our homepage for each of our sites, we have the upcoming events or our events calendar, where you'll see anything that's upcoming for each individual building. Here we have specific ones for the middle school. If I click on More Events, it'll bring me to the actual calendar for that particular building. If I click on any of the events, it may actually give specific information. For example, I now know that I need to drop off the luggage at the main office conference room. So some of the events may actually have more details if you click on it. If I go to the district page and click on More Events, I'll get district-wide events that are going on. The nice thing about this calendar is that it's constantly updated, whereas a PDF type of calendar, it's kind of made once and that's about it. So this one can be constantly updated. Going back to our homepage again, just below our location map, we have a Facebook feed, which is live. Okay. So you can scroll through and you'll be able to see the actual posts that we've been adding to our district Facebook page. So you can stay within our district website and be able to view any posts that have been added there. Another thing that we've added at the very bottom of all of our pages is a address and phone number. So I'm on the district page, so I now have quick access to the phone number if I need to call. Same thing for the elementary school and our middle and high school pages. You have that phone number there. I know as a parent, I'm always having to call the school, so that's a quick way for you to find the phone number. Another feature that you'll find on every homepage for our school buildings is the quick links section. We have that on our district page as well. So the quick links section, for example, for the district page is going to give you specific ones that relate to the entire district. So Power School, Board of Ed, the district information page, and so forth. And same thing if you go to the elementary school, middle school, or high school. We have quick links that pertain to that particular building. At the bottom of all of the quick links, no matter which site you're on, you have a Contact Us button. So if we were to click on that, it'll bring us to a list where you can see everybody in the administration, our directors. We have a phone number as well as ways to contact them. We also have information for each school building, phone number, as well as, again, how to contact the school nurse for each building. And there's even a link in there to access the staff directory as well. You click there. So if I were to click here, it'll bring me to the elementary school staff directory where I can find a specific teacher. One thing to note is that when you are on the staff directory, if I were to click on, for example, Ms. Bellincampy's email address, I could click on that and it'll actually bring up a form so I can email her directly within the website. Or if you prefer, you can always copy her email address and type it in your own email that you use. So that's the Contact Us link. So it's a quick way for you to access information as to somebody that you want to call. There's another link to the staff directory. I happen to be on the district page right now, so it's bringing me to the district staff directory. So all staff within the district will be found here on the district page. If you're on the elementary school website, you're going to have the staff for just the elementary school. I have a link there for the athletics page. The calendar is going to bring me to the same place that the upcoming events, it's the same calendar there. Another quick way to access the school nurse, click on that link, and you now have information how to contact each of the building nurses. Also, you have the link for the school lunch, so if you didn't get your menu printed out, you can easily go here and open up the menu to see what's for lunch tomorrow. District information is going to bring us to the same page here. We have our Board of Ed and a link to Power School as well. One thing to note is that on each of our building sites, our students are going to log in order to access their teacher pages. This is so that they can get materials and resources that are available only to our students and their families. So all students have a specific login when they come into school. So they all know how to log in to our computers, and that's the same login that they're going to use here to access their teacher page. So if I was in the elementary school and I click on class pages, there's my login. Go ahead and type a username in, and it'll now give me access to all of my elementary school teachers, and I can click on any one of them.
So is that part a change from the way it was before?
That is a change, yes. We weren't able to do that with our old website, yes. So now we can have links to textbooks and stuff like that and just have it available just to our kids. Another thing to note is that certain pages have a way for you to subscribe to get an email alert if a page has been updated in any way. So for example, under the Board of Ed, the meeting dates and the minutes. This is one example of a page that has that. You can click on the subscribe button, and then you would just put in your email address and the title, which would be used as the email, so you know what you're getting in your email. And basically, it'll alert you if any additional Board of Ed information has been added. So once our meeting minutes and the video has been posted to our today's meeting, you would get a notification about that. Other pages that have that is the district notifications page. Anything that's been added to there, you'll see there's a subscribe option. We also have a community flyers page that we're going to try to start using more so that we don't have to send as many flyers home, but that also has an option for you to subscribe to as well when you get to the elementary school. So you can see that. So there's another option to subscribe for the community flyers as well. So as you peruse through the website, you may notice that feature, and that's what that does. So, anyone? Yeah?
I'm looking at it on the mobile site, and it's pretty well optimized, except for one thing I noticed on both. On the contact us page, you don't have the area code for any of the phone numbers. In today's world, wouldn't you think you'd want to click on a phone number from your phone or your computer to dial?
Yes, definitely. So let me go back to that. You can also get the contact us under the Our District menu. Yes, so that should be changed for sure. Yes, okay, thank you.
Hi, excuse me. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your beginning. You said your name was Tara Davidson?
Yes.
And you created the website?
We had a service that created it for us, and I kind of worked with them on what's going where and stuff
Are
like
you
that.
the director of technology?
I am not, no. I'm technology staff developer. Ken Jocker is over there.
Okay.
But Tara is the author of Tara is the main author of the website.
Okay, so then you're just...
She's the
person.
webmaster.
If I had questions about technology, I could email or call you.
Sure, certainly.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions?
Tara?
Yes.
For the calendar function,
Yes.
will there be any future plans to integrate it so that the event is downloadable, whether it's to Google Calendar or iCalendar or...
There actually is an option for the iCal. So if we were to click on this little button here, you'll see that option there, the iCal feed. I was told that the email alert option does not work right now. That's what the company that made this told me. And I said, well, maybe you should remove it for now. But the iCal does work, yes.
But no other calendaring system. I live and die by my phone and Google
Yep.
Calendar.
Yes.
Rather than rekeying, it would be so much easier just to be able to download
Yep.
and include it.
It can be something that I can recommend to them. So we can do that, and hopefully at some update in the future that will be an option for us. Sure.
Thank you.
Regarding the iCal, is that by school or is that the district-wide?
So if you are on the school district calendar, you do have the option to view other calendars. If I were to choose that, I can click on the plus sign and then activate or show each calendar, or for whichever calendars you want, for whichever school building. And I click on that, and then if you were to go back and do the iCalendar feed, then it will actually be for all of those buildings that you had selected. Yes. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
I'd like to thank Tara and Ken again for all their work to get this website together and up. And again, thank you, those in the audience who have comments and suggestions for us. Please feel free to use our website to contact Tara and Ken with any upgrades you may suggest. Okay, it's my turn now. Thanks, Tara. I present this superintendent's message with asking Bob Dylan's forgiveness with the title, but as you'll see, that the numbers I'll be addressing in the fund balance and student enrollment are definitely changing and changing rapidly. And those numbers affect everything that goes on in the district. Now, just a little walk down memory lane before I get into the final part of the budget, part 3. Last year, what did we do? Now, you remember where the fund balance was? We had an audit. People criticized that we had too much in the fund balance. Immediately, we set about reducing it. So last year, I was talking to you at this time about transferring $5 million to the capital project. And the public approved that in May. Again, walk down memory lane, you'll see what's included in that $5 million. New turf field, bleachers, press box, which are coming, they're part of the paid for. Field events, taking the track events off the turf field, moving them to their own separate area behind the middle school. Fencing around the perimeter of the school, making it safer. And one-third the high school roof. At the same time, last spring, 2017-18, we voted on a capital reserve, the board, to set aside $750,000 for future projects. That was last year. What the board wants to do this year, 18-19, is set a capital reserve at $850,000 to cover the projects that we need to address in the district, our buildings and campus. Simple math, when you add last spring's $750 to this spring's $850, you get $1.6 million. What we're planning to do is take $1.5 million of that for identified capital projects, and the community will have to vote on that. I'll show you those in a second. And then keep $1,000 to be used for other projects. $100,000, I'm sorry. That was very nice. This is adding the 850, 750, the 1.6, and 1.5 of it. You would think, like as I did, 1.5 is going to get a lot of work done. We're going to get a lot of projects covered. At least 10 off the list. No. Remember I said 1/3 of the high school roof? This is 1/3 also of the high school roof. And then 650, this room here, if you recall last spring, we had to move out of this room and go to the high school because the HVAC system died last year. Very hot surrounding rooms, classrooms, band rooms, orchestra rooms, very hot, and you can't fix it. It has to be replaced. So last year's capital project, this year's capital project, 1.5 to do those things, and you will have to vote on that and approve those things in May. So there goes 2 years of capital reserves for those two projects. I'm going to return again. Now, I'll show you in a few minutes when I actually get into the budget how bringing these numbers down, almost $6 million from last year, $850,000 this year, where it puts our fund balance at, which I'll share with you shortly. And it brought down quite a bit. But the other numbers that are changing rapidly are our enrollment numbers. This was a piece of the brochure I responded to and applied to the superintendent of Mount Sinai. The reason why I'm showing it to you from 4 years ago was that if you look, the school district serves approximately 1,300,000 residents with a student body population of 2,500. When I came aboard, we had 2,500 students. Right now, as I speak to you, we have 2,240. I know, Monica, you want to get these numbers down. I'll get them to you whenever you need them. You follow them. More than ever, your updates, Monica, you're going to receive a lot of them because I'm really alarmed at the rate. When we discussed it last year, it's dwindling at a more rapid rate, okay? Now, 2,240, 4 years ago, 2,500, okay? More alarming is, and I have folks who worked in district office a long time that surround me, and I said, We only have 89 kids registered for kindergarten as we speak. Has there ever been a number that low in March? No. No. Now, generally around this time of year, we say, those numbers will probably change. There are trends. We didn't know when we opened full-day kindergarten 4 years ago that we'd have 168 students. We predicted 120 to 130. Where the heck did they all come from? I don't know. But 168. Then we started planing off in the 130s. I think this current kindergarten is 138, 134. In that area. Oh, sorry. I should have studied that better. Think of that. 142 this year, so far 89. Do I think it's going to stay at that? No. We allegedly have 4 parents who are going to sign up. There's 93. After that, there's no beating of the drums yet. Over the summer, we always get more enrollment. Always. But would I say more than 20? Probably not. So we may have a kindergarten, say, optimistically, maybe of 110 next year, maybe a few more. But that's significantly down from where we are now. Significantly. We know as a fact, when I put the years down for you, what we predict, that next year we lose another 100 based on those who graduate and the kids coming in. So next year, we're at 2140. Now for me, that's 360 kids less than when I became superintendent, and that does alarm me. We predicted at our classes now over the next few years, and it's pretty scary. In 22, 23, you might go, it's so far away, a long way off. We're talking 1,900. Now, should these numbers bear fruit? We do know what we have now. We do know what's registering for kindergarten. And we do know we're losing another 100 next year. That has ramifications throughout all of our schools. Unfortunately, it hits our elementary school first. It'll probably hit positions, staffing there, but it has to. You have to support those positions with students. So we have to look at everything. And we have to look at the future and plan and be fiscally sound as we move forward. So these are the numbers as far as the fund balance and student enrollment that are shaking us up a bit and going, wow, this is dropping faster than we thought. And Kerry shared with me, Sean Wayne River is going through the same thing right now. We knew that. You're going to be going below 2,100 students. So a large district like Middle Country, they're going down 8 to 10% a year. It's not just us along the North Shore out here. Miller Place, you have far more students than us, is at like 2,600, close to 25. Things are going to change. You don't necessarily want to think about it, dwell on it, but you know what? That's going to affect us. That's going to affect decisions, things that have to be made, decisions that have to be made, key ones. So, is that number going to change? I'll be talking about it every month, and I'll give you an update on numbers, especially the kindergarten numbers. Monica?
I just wanted to add for context, because I've been digging through this data.
All the time.
And I have the data all the way back to 1992, 93, which I believe is when the high school.
I was just born then.
First opened, and that number of 1909 is less than that year. That year we were at 2,086 students. That year.
Wow.
So
That's a little crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But again, it's not just us.
No, it's something we've been
It's
seeing.
all along the waterfront. Okay, that brings me nicely to the budget presentation. Do you have the switch, Ken? Ken Jockers, our Director of Technology. Very nice man. We're talking about pies, pie graphs. This is the biggest part of the pie tonight, pie for everybody in the room. Compared to the small pieces of January and February, this is the most money, the biggest part of the budget moving forward. Operations and maintenance. Now, equipment, you'll see a rise between budget last year and this year, so I generally go to that second column of the report. We are, for a couple of years, the board's been concerned with our driveways and our buildings, how dark the parking lots and the buildings are, pitch black at times. We're trying to solve that. Scott and a lot of guys got on parking lights on roadways this past year. We're getting lighting on the walls of the buildings as well. So those are the light wall packs. That's $10,000 raise. Contractual, every year it goes up, maintenance, service contracts, telephone, water, etc. So we plan to be safe, budget a little more money there. Oil and electric, they're staying solid, about the same. Again, we're predicting these numbers, but Linda's always very close. Materials and supplies, we're up a little bit. When our former chief facilities officer retired pretty quickly on us last year, we went through, our new group went through all the supplies and materials, found a lot of stuff expired, and we needed other things. And the new regime came in, so we had to replenish our inventory, and thus the raise in materials and supplies. Both these expenses are the same, and so basically driving that, you have the equipment and contractual and materials and supplies for that item. Grounds and security. Small rise in equipment. What is that equipment? What is the key element driving that? 5 portable AED devices that coaches can bring to sporting events. Safety and security of our students. Contractual, again, maintenance, service contracts, contracts always go up. We try to provide, put a little more money in there to take care of that. The contractual for security, we're now presently out to bid on a security company, and we want to make sure we have money in that pot to cover what that potential bid is. Materials and supplies the same, and most of that rise is due to the new portable AEDs and rebidding our security contract. Good person you are on. Athletics equipment. Scott Ray is trying to get the mat system for our new pit and track events outside, right, Scott? And get controllers for our middle school basketball scoreboard, along with a few other items. $5,000 hike. Contractual, as I mentioned about the other things, trainer, officials fees, competition fees, slight hike there. And materials and supplies, a little higher. Health services, we have just a slight rise there, and we need a new vision machine in the elementary school. It's $3,000. Contractual, about the same. Materials and supplies, the needs were down a little bit. So basically, the increase here in our health services was for the vision machine. There's a biggie, a large category in this piece of pie, and what I call the uncontrollables. The first group of items are the uncontrollables. Employees retirement system, ERS, up a tiny bit. We were lucky that the teacher retirement system did not hammer us this year at 8.86%. So actually, if you look, that went down significantly from last year. Social Security, up a little bit. And here's the big one. Health, dental, the benefits for our employees is up 7%. That should not be a surprise. Workman's comp, we have some cases that are open, some more severe than others, and that's why there was a hike there. Unemployment insurance hanging the same. Our TSA, our accounts for our teachers, Omni, and Affordable Care Act. Seneca is the company that does that, used widely, that stays the same. So increase, mainly benefits, is the 160,700. That's the big portion of the pie. This is a review of January and February, the main categories. Now, what we have is administrative way back in January. If you remember, that's great. So this is, I don't remember all of them, but this is what they were. Administrative stayed the same. That runs district office, business office. Insurance, that's a liability insurance for the district. BOCES, that's Bob Smitty's and my favorite charge, where they charge us a fee to use their stuff and pay them for other services. That went up. So that was an $8,000 hike between our liability insurance and BOCES fees. Technology, this is different than what you saw in January. I spoke to Ken, and what the district, with the board's encouragement, was 5-year plans. Ken has reassembled a technology committee in the district. Ken's on the 4th year of his plan. In that plan is eventually moving to 1 computer per student on the secondary level, grades 5 through 12. So I said to him, he wants to create the iPad carts versus the old computer carts. So we dwindled the number down to 2. In hopes that we save that money. Why buy that now if we're moving to computers for 1-to-1 for our kids in 2 years? So that number came down quite a bit. Transportation, we always plan on a 2% hike every year, and that's pretty accurate. That's that fee. Now, debt service. Our loan, our bond for the high school is over. No more interest, no more principal, and that's why that's a lot lower. But there's a downside. We don't get state building aid any longer for that. So that's the downside. So those are the things we covered in January. Quickly, what we covered in February was curriculum development and the rest. And you know, if you've been here, and a lot of you have the last few years, we implemented Columbia Writing on the elementary level, Columbia Reading. We've done Fontes and Pinnell, the level of reading. And we're trying to keep all that professional development going. And we're also bringing in Ames Web Plus, which is better than the old system, Ames Web, and they're phasing that out anyway, the old Ames Web. We have to train our teachers on it. So that's curriculum development. Supervision, our needs are down, the principals didn't need as much. Instruction, the board was kind enough, other than textbooks, where they're old, a lot of things, everything has to be online today, accessible from home, accessible on a computer. And so we are getting math books, we are online, we are getting social studies books, which are aligned with the New York State framework, which means now the essay questions are aligned and look similar to the SAT questions. So it brings them into the modern day, it's online, and it has all of the current stuff. The new science books are STEM oriented and have engineering lessons in them. So those are the textbooks on that level. And the board supported the elementary. Columbia Reading and Writing are great, but parents are saying, how about spelling and vocabulary? Spelling and vocabulary. Columbia admits that they're weak in spelling and vocabulary. They're creating their own system, their own book for that, naturally, but it's very expensive. Our Columbia teachers are recommending this other program, Words Their Way, which I observed the class using it, and the kids are actually having fun doing spelling and vocabulary. And the board supported that as the missing piece between the writing and reading. It all fits, but spelling and vocabulary. What else do I have in that category? Words Their Way. And musical equipment. We have the old acoustic shells. If many of you are, seen a concert performance, we have the music shells on the side of the stage, direct the sound, make it acoustically better. Those things are now a hazard, a little dangerous because they tend to fall. And we needed new ones, and the board is supporting that. Then library, don't forget, our high school is nearing 30 years old shortly. That was the original furniture. And then we needed the middle school as well. Co-curricular, it's a couple thousand, but we kind of feed our elementary and our middle school. We want to keep those successful clubs going. As we move towards the implementation of a robotics class the following year in the high school, and depending on student interest, get a robotics competing club. And perhaps in the plan, we will have our kids competing in the Legos competitions in middle school as well. Moving along, special education. Now, this one I have to emphasize every year because someone, somewhere, on Facebook is going to write, the board cuts the budget for special ed. You can't do that. That budget is determined by the needs of our current students in special education. If they need services, you get them. You need supplies, resources, you get them. That determines that amount. The board does not set it, and you can't cut it. You can't make students go away. They're here. You pay for their services. Now again, what I said, the variable is there. This summer we could have a student, we've had it happen before, where the parents return to the district, a child who's very needy and needs a number of service programs and resources, could drive the budget up 100, 150,000 with one student, if that's their needs. Then we have guides. Again, furniture is it's pretty not appealing and shaky, so we're trying to spend a little bit there. And adult ed drivers ed, they're self-sustaining, they pay for themselves. And the census, what used to cost us $10,000, BOCES does it, now it costs, because we do it ourselves, $35.75. You see what we went over tonight? All those figures, I don't think I need to repeat them. But you know the big one, salaries and the benefits. Now here's the thing. Last year's budget was $60,203,000. This year's budget is $60,926,000. It's an increase in the budget of 1.2%. Last year it was 1.57. Remember in January we told you this is a guesstimate. We didn't know what the tax cap would be, and we don't know exactly what the state aid is. Well, we have one of those factors that's definite. We know with our formula designed for Mount Sinai from the state, our tax levy is 2.168. That's staying within the cap. And that's the revenue it will bring in, $40,986,000. Every year we appropriate, we try to appropriate less, but that's the money appropriated from the fund balance. And every year, Linda includes $205,000 from the ERS in meeting the budget. But here's the one we are not sure of. State aid. And I mentioned to that back in January. The governor did have an initial budget he put out there in January, but if you've read it, he said he's traumatized by the amount of people moving out of the state, especially people with money. So he's proposing a new budget. We won't know that until April. Then we have all of our definite figures in, and we'll know definitely next month when you come back, we'll have more of the specific number. But this is where we are now. We increased an increase of $722,000 and an increase of 1.20. Now, this looks really complicated. I'll try to make it as simple as I can. This is a 5-year plan. And I really kind of dare you to go online and visit districts and see if you see a 5-year plan almost anywhere. You might see a year or two, not 5. We do that for transparency, and we need to plan going out what it looks like. Earlier in my message, I told you the numbers are changing, not only in school enrollment, but our fund balance. So I'm going to drop down there in a minute But let's look at the chart together, what our budgets have been over the last 3 years. You see 17, 18 to 59 million, 18, 19, this current year 60 million, next year 60 million 900, and it goes out. Then you see the increases. The third line, you see what revenues we get, that's state aid, and what we are guessing we're going to get in 18,251,000, that's up there. I already showed you we're appropriating for the fund balance, 1,682,000, what our tax levy brings in. Now, this is what I talked about. Look at the purple line down. This is what I addressed in the superintendent's message. Last spring, 505 million out of fund balance, out of our bank account, out of the savings, and 750 more for capital reserve. That's almost 6 million reduction. Okay? So it's not done tons of millions, it's 8%. This year, look at it. We put in 850. Not 5 million anymore. We don't have that 5 million to play with. That's a one-time shot. That's gone. That's listed once, that's all purple, and there's the right. Capital reserve, this year the board's proposing 850,000 put in. I showed you what those two things pay for, a third of a roof and the HVAC thing above our heads. What does that leave us? 6%. Anyone want to yell out the cursed state limit on fund balance? Monica?
4.
Yeah, she's the kid you plant in every class and get the right answer. 4%. And Steve, when he presented on the bond a while back, had the phrase, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, 4% is almost never enough. Okay? In Steve's experience working in districts. So look, we get there. We're going to get there next year. 4%. A little above. But that's putting in, now projecting 600 more, because a lot of you paid attention to the projects we needed done. Know that 1.5 is fixed to the third of the roof. We still got that other third hanging. My fear is, when are we going to get to it? Is the first third going to need repair by the time we get the third? And while Maureen walked in 2 weeks ago to water all over her desk in district office. So the older we get, the more problems we seem to get, and the list gets longer. And thank you for Scott and his people putting a 6-year plan together to take all these projects and put them in priority order. However, Scott knows those priorities could change real fast, depending on what damage is shown. So, there's last year, the 5,750,000 brings the budget, the fund balance down. 850. And again, down to 6. If the last year we can afford right now going out to put money in the capital reserves next year is 6. Then, like the purple line, look to your right. There are no more capital reserves by going forward. The fund balance gets smaller. Now again, it's an estimate. We only know for certain what it's looking like this year and perhaps next year. But that's the trends, that's the experience of the business office, that's what we're looking at. And I don't know how much of that list of projects we have are going to be completed with another 600 next year when you look at what the roof costs and the HVAC system. Okay? So that's why those numbers going down to meet state compliance, so we're not ordered again here, we're at compliance next year 4%. That's why student enrollment and these concern all of us right now, numbers to watch on what's going on. I hope this could change if the governor is serious about it, if the governor doesn't give us the money we expect. This is going to look a little more ugly in April. So it could change. We're hoping. Next month, we'll be reviewing, and the board must adopt the budget next month. So I'll have to be looking at everything. We'll watch your student enrollment numbers, so I can give Monica the report. And I'll tell you what our state aid is at that point, and we'll have everything solid for you next month. And that's where we are with that. I know it's not real happy stuff, but we try to give the facts as possible. Again, no one was ready for the enrollment numbers being what they are. But if you do watch real estate, and I had a parent call me last week, a parent in the district who does real estate. So I said, tell me about what's going on in the neighborhood. You're selling the homes, you're trying to sell homes. What is happening? She said, the homes that go from 400,000 to 500,000 can sell in a month. You guys might remember a year or two ago when they go in 3 weeks. That fast. If they're high 6s, 7 to 8, they're sitting for 8 months. 8 months. And I checked that with some people who lived in the areas of those homes, and they said, yeah, I know that home you're talking about for $849, I know what it is. Taxes. And this tax law might not have worked well for a lot of people. And young people moving in, what can they really afford? That's why the other houses are still selling fast, thankfully. So those are things we're looking at as we move forward. But no one knew, and we check, believe me, I'm Maureen all the time, or Linda, what is our kindergarten number today? What is our kindergarten number today? And we ask twice a week and get it. So you got the latest. We could next time be 93, 95, whatever, but I know Monica, I know. So you're going to hear about it, you're going to see what our final numbers are, and you're going to hear updates all the time on student enrollment. Yes, Monica?
Can I ask a quick question on the security contract, the rebidding? Is that just a routine rebidding, or?
Every year
That's
you have to
routine.
You have to
Yeah,
rebid
every
every
year.
year? Okay, that's what I want.
Yes, Amy?
Could you tell us a little bit about how projected student enrollment affects the state aid that we get as a district? Because I'm inferring from your comments that by having fewer children in the district, it's going to negatively impact the state aid we get. And yet I know that the same.
No, I didn't mean to apply the enrollments to that. I mean, we have to look at staffing. We have to look at all of our numbers to budget soundly and what staff we can afford and not afford, what classes we can run, not run. And you got to keep something in mind. This board has been reluctant to even look at any, now I don't want to say cut classes, that's a misnomer. In the high school, can you afford to run an elective with 4 or 6 kids today? Can you afford to do that? Okay? Now, we watch it for 3 years. What do? We watch the history of these classes over the last 3 or 4 years. Is it every year, therefore? What are the kids telling us? Maybe you better offer another elective and try that. And then put this one on hold. But don't forget, we're not cutting it. It's going to be offered in the catalog next year. Kids didn't want it this year. They just didn't want it. So we're not saying, forget about that class, throw it out. It's not going to happen. Every year it will be offered. But we might not run it because the numbers aren't high. But I didn't mean to make it sound like we were dependent on each other. My thing is, I've got to look at what's coming in and how it's going to affect us. Now, the bad picture, and I don't want to continue to paint it, is say we get less than 100 students in kindergarten every year. It's going to go, we're preparing, we're starting to hit the middle school now. Okay? And you've got to look at how the face of our district will change. What part enrollment's that little, that small. And the board has to look at it because you have to decide, what's our staff going to be? What can't it be? And if we're not going to run an elective, how does that affect certain things at the high school? Are they going to get a new elective to teach? Or are they going to have to double up on other things? And the board is always big on multi-certifications for our teachers so they're like utility players. A gold mine is if you find a science teacher who has a cert in living environment, chemistry, physics. I don't know if you'll get one in earth science too, all 4. But the thing is, so you can move them around. Physics might not be a popular demand. You know, picture a senior, strong academically, could be an athlete as well. He's in college. In the fall, they tell him, you got it. The summer, kids are told in earlier grades, they've got a scholarship to go to college. Are they going to really worry about physics after they've been accepted? I don't know. But that's just an example. We do have other courses. I mentioned the robotics classes. There are other classes we want to run. Bob?
To recognize is, this isn't been something that's been surprising. It's what the real estate market is. And we don't have any big communities being built. There is turnover of homes. It will dip for a while, it will move back up. I don't think we're going to see the huge influx of students that we were used to 10 years ago. That's the new normal. We have been looking at this for quite some time. When hiring teachers, they were hired with multiple certifications because that allows us flexibility. Where there is, this year was one of them, where teachers have new or different backgrounds for other electives that we may not presently offer, that they can develop and offer new electives. As time goes on, some of these electives are not as interesting to our students anymore, and there will be other electives that are available. With the change in the student population, it is just a reality. It's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just the number of kids coming in. We've been dealing with that for the past couple of years. Normally, at this time of year, we would expect to see 110 students registered for kindergarten. Those kindergarten children will become sixth graders will become 12th graders. Our largest class left is the ninth graders. That's the last of the large classes. After that, it drops off significantly, and we have accommodated those changes each year in the budget with mostly attrition. We have had some changes. And now looking forward, we're looking at what some of our teachers can offer in other areas. For example, there was a time when you had woodshop. Well, this year we've hired someone who, while he can teach that, he can also teach a technology class and a robotics class. We do the same thing in many of the other subjects, so that we're continuing to make new opportunities with the students that are here. At some point, there's going to be 1,900 students from beginning to end. What about things such as distant learning and using technology in that fashion? These are topics now that we're beginning to reach out to other districts as activities we can do together. And we may look at how our success in AP might be offered to other districts who can never field that many kids. Those are things that we're going to have to look at when we look at the 5-year plan. The 5-year plan is a snapshot for really 3 years with guesstimates for year 4. They're tied to contractual obligations. They're tied to how TRS and ERS work. No one's surprised by the fact that benefits have gone up. That's what we've experienced. But that's how we like to prepare, not just for the 1 year, and some school districts do that. I know as a board, we try to prepare as a business would prepare, taking into account that sometimes business decisions don't necessarily translate to the right decisions for the students. But we have to look at how our population translates that.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Two questions. You said that the bonds, both principal and interest, have been paid
On the high school?
on the high school, because there's still a debt service. Okay. And the second question is, are you precluded from leasing the roofs of the schools for third party to install solar?
No, we have to go through energy conservation. We'd have
There are
to-
a number of them in the town right now where I'm aware of at least one situation where they're putting the roof in and the solar, so you get a rent payment and they get the electricity generated from the solar.
The board would like to investigate solar. They're on the
The roof issue is also, our high school is a great opportunity for us. It's actually 3 contiguous buildings connected by hallways, and they actually are separate roofs, where we've addressed the most troublesome roof and ancillary parts of the building, both the flat roof on the library and the greenhouse, the bane of my existence. The second roof, if we proceed ahead with this next capital project, is what would be the next replacement. If you've ever had a building with a flat roof, it's not if it will leak, it's just when it will. They all do. And then we repair other parts of the roof that need to be. But this makes sense, at some point that balance changes, and we should replace it. What we're trying to do is take into account the comments of the community and say, let's do it with what monies we have and what money we will have going forward. If you look at if you could bring up the 5-year plan. If you look at the 5-year plan, it's much bigger than that because I can't see it.
And how do I,
If you look at the
You'd have to
last
go up
3
there.
years, you see we moved back up to 1.5%, and those are where the guesstimates start coming in, and we don't know what changes there will be in our tax revenue, not just state aid, but from the building that's going on. This gentleman here and I have had good talks on what's going to happen with regards to the building that's going on across from Echo Avenue. In 5 years, 6 years, we're going to see a very significant increase in tax revenue. That will help us. We would like to have seen it earlier, but I'm a patient man. There's a lot of different things that when we get past 2021, remember that the other end of the 5-year plan is tied to our teacher's contract. That's what it runs together. And as we move forward, we continue to make changes that are both positive in revenue or in savings to the overall budget.
We have an energy performance contract right now, and I think our architects are looking into getting another energy performance contract, which would allow us to get the solar, see if we're able to do that. There's so many years that we're allowed to do it.
okay, would the board like to turn to the lieutenant?
Oh, sorry about that. You mentioned the one-to-one initiative for computers for students. So a couple questions on that.
Okay, Ken, stand by.
When do you think you roll that out? When was it starting? And is there a device type you were thinking?
3 years is probably the rollout.
We were thinking of a laptop in the third or fourth year. We were going to roll out a laptop,
When you say laptop,
like a 15-inch laptop,
operating system?
with the latest Windows.
Next part of our agenda is approval of the minutes. Steve, would you start with that?
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the minutes of the February 13, 2019 meeting as submitted.
May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments? All in favor? Any questions on matters on the agenda? Good. Personnel. Ed?
Personnel appointments, reading teacher Brittany Maloney. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves
None pro tongue. Wow, that has some legal words in it.
probationary appointment. Brittany Maloney, appointment date January 3rd, 2017, in the area of reading. Tenure date May 2nd, 2021, 4 months of unpaid leave included in that. Compensation step 00, MA, certification is initial.
May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Pete. Any comments? All in favor? Carried.
Custodial substitute. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following appointment. Gennaro L. Purdy, March 21st, 2019, as a substitute custodian at $40,000 an hour.
Do I have a second? Steve, thank you. Any comments? All in favor? 3, Anne Marie, School District Aide.
School District A, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following appointment. Deanna Alex, March 21st, 2019, School District A, step 1.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Terry. Any comments? All in favor? 4, Pete.
4, track coach. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following appointment. Donald Slingerland, appointment date March 4th, 2019, area assistant varsity track and field coach, compensation step 5.
May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor?
There's a question here.
We'll treat questions at the end.
Okay.
Thank you. Action items, educational, Committee on Special Education. Back to you, Steve.
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education has no objections to the following special education recommendations and approves the authorization for the funds to implement the special education programs and services consistent with such as listed.
May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Action items, business, obsolete equipment. Ed, it's your turn.
Obsolete equipment. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby declares the following items as obsolete and authorizes disposal as listed.
May I have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Pete. Any comments? All in favor? B, notice of budget hearing, budget vote, and election. Sorry, Terry?
Sure. Notice of budget hearing, budget vote, and action. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the publication of the notice of budget hearing, budget vote, and election for the May 21st, 2019 annual meeting as attached.
May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments? All in favor? C, Anne Marie, interpreter stipend.
Interpreter stipend. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the $1,000 stipend for interpretation services to Abel Hernandez for the 2018-2019 school year.
May I have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Pete. Any comments? All in favor? D, federal single audit. Pete?
D, federal single audit. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby accepts the federal single audit report as submitted by the firm Cullen and Danowski LLP for the school year July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018.
Thank you, Steve. Any comments? All in favor? Steve, E.
Secret for the high school roof. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following secret resolution. Whereas the Board of Education, of Mount Sinai Union Free School District desires to embark upon a roofing replacement capital improvement project at Mount Sinai High School. And whereas said capital improvement project at Mount Sinai High School is subject to classification under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, secret. And whereas routine activities such as maintenance or repair involving both substantial changes in an existing structure or facility and replacement, rehabilitation of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building or fire codes, unless such action meets or exceeds any threshold in section 617.5 of this part. And whereas the secret regulations declare type 2 actions to be actions that have no significant impact on the environment and require no further reviews on the secret. And whereas the Board of Education, as the only involved agency, has examined all information related to the capital improvement project and has determined that said capital improvement, roofing replacement at the Mount Sinai High School is classified as a type 2 action pursuant to section 617.5, subparagraph 1 and 2 of the secret regulations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby declares itself lead agency in connection with the requirements of the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby declares that the capital improvement project roofing replacement at the Mount Sinai High School is a type 2 action, which requires no further review under SECRA. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby shall forward an official copy of this resolution to the New York State Education Department, together with a copy of the correspondence from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation in connection with its request for the approval of the listed projects from the New York State Education Department.
Hoover. Second.
I second that.
Good. Any comments?
I'm glad I said it for once now.
That was good. All in favor? F, Ed.
CEQA, middle school air conditioning. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following CEQA resolution. Whereas the Board of Education of the Mount Sinai Union Free School District desires to embark upon an HVAC upgrade capital improvement project at Mount Sinai Middle School, and whereas said capital improvement project at Mount Sinai Middle School is subject to classification under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, CEQA, and whereas routine activities such as maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes in an existing structure or facility and replacement rehabilitation of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building or fire codes unless such action meets or exceeds any of the thresholds in section 617.5 of this part. And whereas the super regulations declare type 2 actions to be actions that have no significant impact on the environment and require no further review under CEQA. And whereas the Board of Education, as the only involved agency, has examined all information related to the capital improvement project and has determined that said capital improvement HVAC upgrades at the Mount Sinai Middle School is classified as a type 2 action pursuant to section 617.5, sections 1 and 2 of the CEQA regulations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby declares itself lead agency in connection with the requirements of the State Environment Quality Review Act, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby declares that the capital improvements project HVAC upgrades at the Mount Sinai Middle School is a type 2 action, which requires no further review under CEQA. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby shall forward an official copy of this resolution to the New York State Education Department together with a copy of the correspondence from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation in connection with its request for approval of the listed projects from the New York State Education Department.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I missed that here.
I
Only if
Second.
I second that.
Any comments? All in favor? Carrie, get the phone.
Should I go next? Unused snow days. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby designates Thursday, April 18th, Thursday, May 23rd, Friday, May 24th, and Tuesday, May 28th as official school closing days for the unused snow days for students and teachers in order to comply with the professional staff agreement.
And second.
I'll second that.
Any comments? All in favor? Anne Marie?
Capital projects, Land Tech, amended motion approved February 2019. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby amends the February 13, 2019 motion increasing the amount of money awarded to Land Tech Group. The amount shall not exceed $109,300, which includes the completion of the bleachers and the press box. Fencing at backed up by the varsity baseball field. Cut through high school parking lot for students and teacher access and related work site work.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? All in favor? Pete? Black Red Knight Advice.
Black Red Knight Advisors resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Board of Education hereby authorizes the following co-advisors for the high school Red Black Knight as per contract. John McHugh, Lisa Frederickson, and Christina Logan.
May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Jay, back to you, Steve. Capital Reserve.
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby authorizes the appropriation of funds into the established 2018 capital reserve fund in the amount of $850,000 to be derived from the district's unassigned fund balance.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? All in favor? General questions? Sir, you had a question?
Yeah, but I don't know from here, compensation, 5.235. So what's the amount? Can I find these people anywhere? What kind of people is compensation level?
We have a step system. I would have to look it up. Maybe a teacher, he has to come over as a step 5. It has to do with, I think, stuff. So it's a step 5. I don't know.
I'll explain a little bit.
Yeah.
Track coach.
Yeah.
Track coach has 40 years of experience, he's a retired gentleman, and, there's a vacancy in that spot. He's well-known all over Suffolk County. We thought he'd make a good assistant coach. Obviously, we're not going to start him at step 40, if it exists.
I'm not questioning the qualification of the coach. I just want to know, is there any amount associated with each step?
He's asking, step 5, what is the compensation?
Yes.
I don't know it off the top of my
Yeah.
head.
We have to look.
I'd have to look that up for you.
We can get that for you, though.
Okay, thank you.
If you can give me your email, I'll send it to you.
Any other questions? Yes.
I understand that the Board of Education has made a decision to access one of the members of a music teacher, specifically Mr. Barkley. Is that correct?
Board of Education has not made any decision. Board of Education adopts the budget in April. We also do not have the authority to pick and choose what teachers are hired or fired or accessed. We work within a contract. It's based on the number of students and what the budget supports.
Who is the body or entity or individual who makes the decision to access a music teacher?
Actually, the system does it. If there is a teacher who, what their certification is, what their department is, there are other teachers. It's the last one into the system.
What is the basis for the decision to access any teacher? How do you make that decision? Is it a budgetary constraint?
Student enrollment.
If I may, I believe at the time when Mr. Barkley was hired, the population was 2,500 kids. I showed you tonight, it's now 2,240 and shrinking. I'm hearing a lot about the music. You're calling it a cut. It's just,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
oh, I'm sorry, you're calling it a cut. It's not necessarily a cut. What happens is there are 3 positions in the elementary school due to climate enrollment, maybe not be in existence next year either. I'm not hearing about that, but I am hearing about the music. Now, if there are 3 positions in the elementary school in general education that don't have enough students to support them to be there, you would think naturally program music also, like a class, gets those students as well. So if there aren't enough students to support a music teacher, and I'm trying to say a music teacher, I know Mr. Bartley very well, we gave him tenure. So we're trying to think of the face and the name and how great he is when he does for the bass players throughout the district. But frankly, if 3 teachers do not have the students to make their classes run, it only makes sense that a music position might be accessed as well. We don't say, let's cut Bartley, or let's cut this person. As Mr. Sweeney said, it's seniority. The last one hired, I remember when he was hired, and I certainly appreciate what he does, like everybody on the board, what he does, but it's the enrollment, kids coming in, will it warrant it? And that's going to go through the whole elementary school, as I did in the first part of my presentation. when right now we have 90 kindergartners. So they become first, second graders, third graders, get involved in music, and hopefully, if there's enough, then no changes. The program itself, no one's planning on touching any program, but certain staff members, due to the enrollment to support their position, the kids have to be there in order to have a teacher. You know what I mean?
No, I must confess, I don't understand the process, and I'm very curious to learn more about it. I am very disappointed that the music department is actually even being considered to be touched, and Mr. Barkley to be accessed. I understand it's not personal to Mr. Barkley, I really do, but I also saw $5 million be moved to make all these capital investments, and yet one teacher, who is necessary right now for the students that are moving in to the high school. Right now, Mrs. Marceau, Mr. Barkley, Dr. Marceau, Mr. Black, they have their students and the students have needs. Right now, the student population at the high school level exists and they need Mr. Barkley. Mr. Barkley is very instrumental in cello and in bass. He runs a lot of the classes that allow Mrs. Marceau to go in and work with additional programs and to provide the enriching programs that are available. We are extremely upset, those of us that have students in the music program. My daughter, Micaela Tupariello, plays the bass. She played Carnegie Hall. She is in pre-college Juilliard. So is Josh Cobb. So is Lawrence Child. These youngsters are going to be getting scholarships tomorrow. I fail to understand how the athletic program, God bless them, they get support because they get scholarships. What about the music students? They're athletes too, athletes of a different kind. They may not necessarily be playing lacrosse or football or running track, but they themselves are working 2, 3, 4 hours a day, working hard to achieve at the level that they're achieving. And Mr. Barkley is contributing greatly towards that success. My daughter at Juilliard, her professors, her teachers, her private instructors have actually asked me, where is Mount Sinai? Why is Mount Sinai all of a sudden being put on the map? How is it that a tiny little school district like Mount Sinai is producing musicians at this level? Claire Kai last year was also a superb musician at Juilliard. I have great reservations and I'm terribly concerned that letting go, accessing the position, and I realize it's not personal to Mr. Barkley, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that right now we have a core program, a core music program that is absolutely stellar, stellar. And I would like to ask this board to actually go in and evaluate the system, however it decides to access these positions, and to reconsider not accessing that position. These individuals, your team, the team that all of us have worked so hard to put together in the music department, is a team that needs to be preserved so that Mount Sinai can get even higher on the radar of those musicians. Have we ever done a study to find out how many scholarships have actually been given to our music students the way we do with athletics? I have nothing against athletes. Please don't take
Would
this
you
the
like me
wrong
to get
way.
that for you?
Yeah,
Because
I
I've
would
done it in
love
other
to.
districts. It's probably lower than you think, but that's not the point.
I'm sorry?
Are you done speaking so I can speak, please?
You have to forgive me. This is a very
I hear your
emotional
passion.
thing.
I've been getting a lot of emails, and trust me, I support the music program. I know all the board members attend. They have children in the music program.
That's one of
Let
the
me-
reasons why I'm so
I don't think you
surprised.
heard what I was initially trying to say about students moving into the elementary school. That's the first wave where the population's not supporting teachers. I have music, and yes, our program's extremely, extremely superb. No one here would disagree with that. But again, you're not even recognizing the fact, it hurts me, not just a music teacher, but I have to let a relationship go with an elementary school teacher, kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Those are our gen ed teachers. They're just as important, granted, with our music teachers. But our classroom teachers work very hard too. And we have 3 leaving, 3 positions in elementary. It hurts. It's hitting there first. Mr. Bartley has a lot of his teaching load in the elementary school. Okay? So we are all looking at teachers in general, not just, no one wants to touch the music program. But if down there the enrollment's not there to support it, we have to consider it. Nothing is in stone as we speak. But I get worked up and I get upset and try to say, you can't think of faces, you can't think of relationships, but with those small numbers, now those numbers are hitting the elementary school, but guess what? They're starting in our 5th grade. They're going to go through the middle school. Those small classes go through the high school. You're going to see positions going because, as Mr. Sweeney said earlier, that's reality. Those are the facts. Our district's getting smaller. So I appreciate everything Mr. Bartley does. Everything. What every music teacher does. I think some of the ladies can tell you back there, I totally support the program. And music, it was a big part of my life, and I got involved in it in elementary school. So I have nothing against music, but I do look at the numbers, and I have to be responsible to an entire community and be fiscally responsible. No one likes to say it, but I hear you always saying, like, leave all our music teachers here, but let our classroom teachers go. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying.
But they are. They're all important. No one wants to see it happen, but I can't recruit kindergartners to come in our buildings. That's the community. We're going through a change here. And there are going to be changes, and they're all hard. And I know every one of the students you're talking about, the musicians, and Claire Kai, we miss hearing her this year. All of them. It's unbelievable. Every time I go, I'm impressed. Especially the ensemble presentation in the library. That was incredible. But I can't think of it that way. And I think the board agrees with me. This is the reality hitting our district. And it's hitting us faster than I ever thought it would be. Ever. Nothing's in stone. Okay? And I am getting emails, the board's getting emails. We have to talk about it. In April, all the figures have to be solid and done. But you speak very passionately about it, and I totally appreciate that, how you feel. And, allegedly, talking to the union about it and what can be done or what we can do with the program to save money and keep them. I don't know about any of that yet. I'm just looking at classroom, and the music classroom is a classroom with a music teacher, like a kindergarten teacher, a first grade teacher, and when the numbers don't support it, we have no choice. We have to look at our enrollment and our positions. And the board heard everything you had to say, and I'm sure they're going to reflect on what you said.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, sir.
I've heard that our student population will drop, but from the 5-year budget class, the tax levies and the revenue from the state keep the same. So if we have the same amount of budget, why don't we keep the same amount of teacher and maybe have a smaller student-teacher ratio?
The state aid, frankly, even this year, we don't know where it's going to be. That is generally a guess based on what we have experienced in trends in the past. The state aid has decreased in the past, and this is what we get presently. We don't know what the governor will give school districts like us. There's a big difference between what Mount Sinai gets and what other school districts get. We don't get very much foundation aid. That's a different type of aid that we don't see. What is also increasing, which is faster than any aid or revenue we're getting, is the cost of benefits. You saw 7.8% of that went up. The debt service that we do have, other costs that we call contractual costs and or mandates from the state, those all go up. They're not tied to the cap. They're completely separate. So we can't adjust those. I run a business. I know what my health insurance goes up. It's much more than I can charge customers. But that's what drives, just like us, as much as we would like to think in terms of we can control all these expenses. The best example I can give you is insurance at 7.7. That's why it goes up, even though we have a decrease in the student population. Yes?
How can I find out how the system actually works? Is there a book, a manual, a procedure that I can look at and just familiarize myself so that I could be a little bit better informed about how the decisions about possibly accessing teachers, what is it? How does it work?
As we said, once decisions are made with regards to a budget, then it becomes, we don't get to negotiate individually with each teacher. They work for a union. The union presents the contract, and in that contract, it's online. You can read that contract. Last in, first out. That's all it is.
Is the
Yes, sir.
contract on the website?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I would just like to say that I know that the members of the board do support the arts in this district. They do a wonderful job bringing this program to our kids. The question, I think, that's in some of our minds is if it comes down to a decision between hiring, for example, a varsity assistant track coach and keeping a music teacher on staff. We want the music teacher on staff.
We'd love to be able to say that each is a separate entity. It isn't, and it's not a choice that way. You can't have a assistant, you have to have the assistant on the track field. It's driven by the population. It's not athletes, because that's what the undercurrent here, that somehow the athletes are getting more than the music department, and I disagree with that. It isn't that type of choice.
6,000 versus over 100,000. If you just look at the cost.
I understand. I was using it as an example. If there is some way to make that choice, the arts program is so important to our kids.
We agree. We
I
have
know you do,
supported
which
it,
is how
and
I began.
as the student population increased in the elementary school, we added music teachers. As the population is decreasing, we're going to have to adjust all of the teachers. We don't go from department to department and say, well, this one's going to go or that one's going to go. It's across the board based on what their classroom level is and what the number of students. It's a simple process. Once we get to that, we don't get to choose who comes and goes. It's not based on anything other than last in, first out. Amy?
First of all, I want to say I really am so delighted that you are all up there and I am not. These are very difficult decisions that you're grappling with. But because you're looking at this from the very big picture, I did want to share with you a few things that you may not realize about this specific music position. And that is by eliminating a strings teacher, we're going to decrease by 25% the number of practice sessions that we're going to have. And in a district like ours, where our parents in the high school encourage our students to skip lunch, take many AP classes, and max out themselves academically, we will start to see students who no longer take music because their choices will be very limited for the number of rehearsal sessions they have, and they will not want to risk missing one per week because they will get a 0 and it will affect their grade. This particular position not only teaches in the elementary school, and I do recognize the importance of the declining enrollment, but he also does cover the lessons for the middle school and the high school, and he provides that extra level of support. I know that you all know I'm very much of an advocate for the arts, and I brought to you tonight a letter from the Friends of the Arts outlining specifically why this particular position is so important. I won't take the time to read it tonight. I will just tell you I'll present it and then we'll email it as well. But I do feel that when you know more about the specifics of it, you'll see why it is so important for this to be kept. Thank you for your
I think it's also important
consideration.
to recognize that the majority of the position you're speaking with is an elementary school position. The .2 that is added on for purposes of support, this year's ninth grade class will be next year's 10th grade class. The class that's coming up from 8th grade is nowhere near the same size as the class that's moving up to 10th grade. That effect is having an effect now in the high school. There will be less students as freshmen. That's a reality, and that reality translates into what we have available and the rehearsal schedules and the very good talent that's there will be supported by the excellent teachers that are present. This is not a reflection on, in any way, shape, or form, on the individual or any of the individuals that maybe, because of the decrease in population, find themselves excess. It's a reality of what it is. We're happy to take that, but I think I want to make sure that we're clear. The position that's being spoken of, while you are experiencing his excellent work with students in the high school, was higher than in the elementary school. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
With the Mustang Summer Rec camp not continuing on this year, it's leaving a lot of families looking for alternatives for summer activities for their kids. Does the district have any plans to have some type of program to take the place of that former program?
The district didn't run the program.
I recognize the district didn't run it.
We had nothing, we did not run it. They were allowed to use our facilities. And if there is a program that is interested, they would go through the same process of presenting the appropriate insurance, staffing, business plan, why they would get access to our buildings, fit within under the premises use procedures. There's different categories and costs. The district does not pay for it, nor does it provide staff or equipment. That's up to whoever, if someone wants to do that. I can tell you that we have not been presented with any type of realistic, reliable plan. Yes?
With the possible elimination of elementary teacher positions, classroom or wherever, is the district looking at becoming creative with possibly saving them as having a technology push in teacher at the elementary level, where we really lack in technology curriculum? Or are we just eliminating the teacher? Because you talked about being creative in the high school and having dual certification. Can we be creative in the elementary school with these teachers as well?
As I understand it, I'm going to toss it over to Gordon. The flexibility that we have in the high school level is different. As I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, you're certified K through 6. You may have some additional certifications such as reading or special education. And then you're certified 7 through 12. The certifications that exist at the high school, for example, the technology teacher has a different type of certification in addition to the 7 through 12 certification. I don't know the answer to that and how we would introduce that into the classroom, or as what I used to, when I grew up, it was called a special. How you would add that as a special. That's just, I don't know how that's done, and I would have to leave that to Gordon in terms of how.
There is the STEM club currently in the elementary school.
I'm just curious, what grade? My daughter's only in first and I'm in incoming kindergartner.
And if you'd like to, you can contact Andy Matthews about it, but some of that money I was showing tonight that's being spent on materials is split between the STEM in middle school and then elementary. We're trying to align the elementary Lego robotics with the middle school Lego robotics. We have, you might have been here when I was saying, there are 50 kids in the middle school club, which is amazing. So they're dealing with and partnering with the Port Jefferson Lego competing team. And we hope to go into competition in middle school, and it won't be competitive, but there'll be Lego robotics as well. Our high school teacher, Bella Sarah, goes down, and her kids from the coding club in the high school do coding with our elementary school kids.
Yeah, we went to the hour of code, which
Hour
was
of code.
1 hour.
There's even more than
More?
that. In developing the district plan for robotics, I'm discovering this. These advisors are willing to expand their clubs in the elementary and middle. The director of science and math is willing to give them his funds to support those clubs. And I think you're going to see it take off. And we know the hour of coding really is successful in the elementary school, but it's going to be more advanced. Right now, the kids come down from high school, teach coding, and there is the STEM club
right now, which will become Lego robotics, hopefully next year.
No, I mean, my experience as a teacher, elementary is a lot harder to switch positions, it's not as easy as to be creative, but I think it's definitely something we can investigate, for sure.
But you never know who might have that certification, because a lot of teachers have multiple certifications.
Sometimes you change just by
Yeah,
changing
we
your,
can look.
area, you change tenure, and you change all these other factors, some people,
We have been, over the past few years, 5 or 6 years, during interview process, looking at teachers who have multiple certifications. I'm not aware of an elementary school certification with technology. It would be interesting in terms of, as our students come out of college with an interest in teaching, where that stands. Some of our teachers, one is in the middle school, really is quite a scientist and a meteorologist, and that has opened up changes in that curriculum from what was a typical 7-8 curriculum. That's changed, but I could see that in the future, as we look at different students and the students that come out of the teaching colleges. What are they being taught and how are they meeting the needs? All right.